And the person is asking if the meetings of study can be considered meetings of prayer. Yes. This depends on each one. It depends on the attitude that you're having while you're there, and it also depends on those who are coordinating. And those who are coordinating the study, actually, they are doing a work of channeling all the attention of those people. So the study, the topic, the book, whatever is the object of that study, it is a pretext for the attention of people to focus on that. So the study begins, the topic begins to be developed, or you start listening, and that attracts the attention of people. When the coordinator notices that all are attentive, that there was a concentrated attention, that is the moment to elevate the group. While they're not attentive, while they're not concentrated, they're just having an intellectual study. They're just having a mental and common study. But the coordinator is there, attentive to concentration, so they must be very concentrated. And they must be attentive to see when the group reaches that perfect concentration, when all are attentive to what is being said, and when this moment happens of total attention, when the coordinator feels that was guarded, then the coordinator elevates himself. They elevate their thoughts, their consciousnesses, and they do a movement in vertical, and that is all elevated. So this is what must happen in a meeting of studies. But there are people who perceive this, so they collaborate in the study, and you collaborate when you're aware of those movements, and you live those movements consciously, because then you can attract others to this elevation. And the person dreamed that they were cleaning a plate with a sponge under an open, and the more they cleaned, the more food there was, leftover food. And they continued washing, and more food would appear, and then he would see some threads that seemed like small worms. So this dream is showing a field of purification that is being presented to the individual. So those who are working on your purification, they know that as they purify themselves, other things show up to be purified, because it doesn't come all together. So the work of purification is represented by the dirty plate of food, but to wash a plate is very different from purifying, because when you wash a plate, you remove all that food and the plate will be clean. But when you start purifying, it's not like that, because it doesn't come all together to be purified. So you can remove the sponge and then there's more, because they come gradually. They don't come all together because you couldn't do it all together. And when we work on purification, this is the sign that purification is happening. It's a sign that you are really removing residues from there, because only removing residues others can come, because if you don't remove certain residues, others will be subconscious, they won't come for you to clean. So those who are in a work of purification, must not be surprised. The more you work, the more things emerge for you to work on. Those are the things that you are aware of. Because if you're not working on yourself, you wouldn't see other things. And the person asked if there is a behavioral difference in human beings, if it depends on hormones and culture, or if it also depends on different factors. Hormones and culture is the things that least affect the polarity of the being, the masculine or feminine polarity. It determines a lot the behavior of the person. If this masculine and feminine polarities are very different in the individual, if they haven't started to balance yet. So if they are masculine or feminine, with just a little few balance between these polarities, their attractions and their repulses are very strong. So it does not depend on culture or hormone. If you have very strong attractions and repulsions, it's because these two polarities are very strong and they haven't started to balance yet, and because the consciousness of the individual is still in the material level a lot, so they feel great attractions, so you'll have a lot of antipathies. It means that their consciousness is that the polarities are very distinguished. But when those polarities start to balance, when they start to act together, when they start to mix, then the individual will become harmonious. Then their behavior will be harmonious, and they will become a harmonious individual as those polarities will be complemented. Not only from the material point of view, but they start to receive different interests, they start having different interests for things. This means that the polarities are synthesizing. But there are very special behaviors and temperaments which are neutral. They start to express neutrality in the face of people, situations, so the individual is neutral. And this means that polarities are uniting, polarities are synthesizing. So if the individual has a reaction before someone else, or if the individual is not neutral in the face of something, it's because those polarities have not merged yet, they have not synthesized yet. So these polarities are the ones that determine our behavior, and not other traces which are very superficial. So you need to see which polarity is the body of the individual, which polarity is the soul of the individual, because the body could be in a polarity and the soul could be in another one, or those can coincide. If those polarities coincide, the behavior of that individual will be very different from an individual who is a man in the physical, woman in the soul, man in the monad. That behavior is very different. of those who are manifesting the same polarity on these three levels. While we maintain our consciousness in a material level, that is, while our consciousness is in the physical, emotional, and mental level, we will always manifest duality of polarities. We're either one thing or the other, we're something different, and this means that our attention, our consciousness is restricted to the emotional and mental level. When our consciousnesses start to go higher, when I start wondering about what I think and start to look for a different kind of thought, a different way of being and thinking. So when my attention is in this, when I'm looking for an intuition, then you'll help your polarities to be balanced. So this is mutual. Our behavior is determined by polarities. And we also collaborate so that polarities can behave one way or another. So if we always remain in the rational, if we are restricted to our thoughts, we will be women or men very separated. This will not start to unite. But if we start to silence that mind, then those polarities will start to balance and you won't have this reaction or just receptive, but you'll start to balance that. And for you to reach a neutrality, for you to begin to be neutral, not masculine or feminine, to have that perfectly balanced and solved, you need to have your focus on the monad in the most profound self. So this is a gradual work that influences our mentality a lot, that influences our behavior a lot, but we can collaborate to have a more and more neutral balance if we understand this mechanism and if we put our attention in a different level, to remain our emotional and mental in reflections. This is to keep masculine and feminine duality. If you start renouncing to that and entering an intuitive search, then you'll have some balance that will end in a neutrality. And those two polarities won't be determining anything else. Even for a soul to, that soul could incarnate in a feminine or masculine body, that won't influence what they came to do as a soul. But if that is not balanced yet, for a soul it could be very important to be in a masculine or feminine body. That is a limitation for the soul to be in a feminine body or to be in a masculine body. That is a limited soul to the condition of a body. But if those polarities are solved, if those polarities are united, because their work and the polarity of the body won't influence their work, won't determine certain colors, certain shades and certain characteristics for their work. Of course, that for a soul to come work on earth or to incarnate on service, it would be important for them to have these polarities solved in them, for them to unite those polarities, or for them to count on a certain neutrality, because then it won't be, the gender of the physical body won't have any difference, and this is something that facilitates a lot. Someone said that's something that they're not doing, and it makes him feel very unsatisfied, as if he was not doing something that he should do. This is what is felt in the beginning, but really it is not about what we should do, but it is about what we should be. So if we're looking for what we must do, we'll enter into a lot of deceits, and this is not a guaranteed walk. But if you're looking for yourself, what you are, then you do the correct thing. But if you are not what you should be, you can do a lot of things, and it could be all out of place and wrong. So that feeling that you're not doing what you should, it indicates that the individual should try to be what they are, look for their inner self, and not to be thinking about what they should do, but they should be thinking about their inner self, so that the inner selves can emerge doing something, carrying out something, and that should be right. So if we look for things, I did so much, and what did I come here to do? They haven't understood until today. These are for those who are looking for what to do, but if the individual is seeking what they are, so what they do is a consequence of their inner self, and then no one will have a doubt of what they're doing. No one will doubt they're doing correctly, because they're not doing, they're being. And that which is within begins manifesting something, and then you won't have any doubts about what it is. If we are looking to be and not worried about what to do because it's just a consequence, if we're looking to be, many changes will happen within us, and then no real transformation will happen through what you do, but it's through what you are and what you become. This is where transformation comes from, and it will improve the quality. And when your action is a reflection of what you really are, when it's a reflection of your inner self, the possibilities of service increase and are not limited to the material plane. If you're just doing action, which is not really a projection, it's not really something, your action will be material external. It could be very useful and very positive, but it's external. It won't bring profound transformation and changes in the being. It's necessary to be an action from what you really are, so that this can be influencing and really bringing transformations. And our action, our correct action, if we're really doing what is correct, that which corresponds to the inner self at that moment, that which should be at that moment, that action has a healing energy. So when you walk, when you act, You're not just making friction in acting, but in those movements, in that action, in those actions of what is being done. That is not just friction and events, but that has the energy of healing always, that radiates something transforming. It heals. It radiates clarity for those who are in contact with it, observing it. So you're doing your work or a task. That could be a physical factor. It could be a material factor. You could be producing things. But that isn't what we could do that at the same time won't be healing, that at the same time won't be transforming everything that is around or everything that is in contact. So, if you wash a plate, that could be the washing of a plate. And when you wash a plate, that could be a process of healing with you and with all those who will be affected by that action, all of those who are in the range of that action, all of those who are implicit in that action. So this is the difference between us doing things materially and the things that we do to be really coming emanated from the inner self, from what we are. Because when it's a material action, that could even construct, but to heal, to transform, you need something else. You need something that corresponds to that which the inner self is really being at that moment. It's when we go through that change, what we do change the quality in that way. And then we start having contact with the hierarchy, about having tasks that have to do with the plans of the hierarchy. So when we start being very efficient in an intelligent way, we can do very beneficial things. But this is not part of a hierarchical work. It is not part of a work that is about the structure of the evolutionary planet. For this, it's necessary for our movement, for our strength, for all of that to really be a projection, for our work to enter the scope of the hierarchy, and for us to find evolutionary tasks which are not only about our needs, or which are not only about the immediate needs of a group or a moment, but which have to do with an evolutionary plan. This is where our work, or the work done by us, enters a different dimension, enters a different scope. This inner search is very important. It's very important for us to begin to notice the difference between acting in a personal way before acting, between acting with our strength, with our skills, with our intelligence, our movements, and acting in a different way. This is very important. And during the action we can notice it. During the action we can notice the difference between both things. Because then many beings will be benefited by our work, and not only in the physical plane. I could wash a plate, and of course that clean plate will be good for someone else. But my act of washing a plate could be much beyond all this. I could leave a certain magnetism in that plate. I could leave a certain vibration, and the act of washing that plate could radiate healing, could radiate stimulation. So I'm not just washing a plate, I'm preparing a situation for someone else to receive. Someone else will get that plate. So our work, our service, could be a physical work, could be an efficient and material work, but it could be including all of this. And this work that includes all of this is a work that, using a certain term, it divinizes work, divinizes life. So I can do the very same things that all people do, but I can divinize life, I can transform life, and this is the energy that is flowing through what I do. It's the action of my inner self that is taking place there. We should have the intention of living and acting like this. We should have this intention. But the principle is where our intention is polarized, where our energy is polarized. If it's in the physical, emotional, and mental, this will take place in a certain way. And if our intention and energy is polarized higher, then other things will happen there. So it's not in our way of doing the things are. It's in what you are polarized at that moment, in what you're connected, in what level you are connected at that moment. This changes your action completely. Here we have a sharing about the short path, the work of the short path. Some who walk through the short path recognize that experience brings them an orderly rhythm in their participation during the work. People become orderly, very harmonized in that which they do. How they move, how they grab tools, how they wash the dishes, how they work. And then they have a work of organizing themselves, as if that which is very established, we call as the short path established, it's an orderly activity, as if it was a ritual, as if it was a ceremonial in which people enter 100 hours. We live in a certain order, in a certain proposed discipline, as if it was a ceremony, as if it was a ritual all the time. That person who wrote that see the need of the stable group in Figueira to be mixed with other people in the short path. In the beginning, the stable work would do the short path. And now the proposal is for among the people who are doing the short path, there could be also people from the stable group. Order, discipline, and ceremonial are well established, so this mix of people who are coming by and people who are stable, this could give the work a different energy, a more free energy, less conditioned to certain things that are very in the work of the short path. They can be universalized a little more. They could step out of certain schemes. And according to that person, there is no more the need of gathering the group of people who are more prepared to find a result of order, discipline, and ceremonial. But even as people get there, who should be a little more attentive still the work is taking place very strongly. And the members of the stable group, if they repeat that experience, because the short path will be then more and more perfect. You don't have to do it only once and then never again. But as we evolve in order and discipline, in capacity of maintaining a ritual, then we should do the short path to collaborate with the group who is there. If there is this idea and intention of serving the short path, we go in there doing that. This will elevate the value of that work even more, because now they are at a point of realization which is very correct and good. But if those who did it well do not go back to carry it out better, to have a more profound work about themselves, to reach an order, discipline, and ritual that are more perfect, more simple, if those people do not go back to keep that there, the work of the short path will remain where it is. And this was very well observed, because the short path until now was to evolve, because people entered that rhythm, it evolved. But it reached a point that now people who already carry out the short path, they should be there doing it, so as to rise from this medium level that the work achieved. So there could be a much more concise short path and more silent innerly, but this is a different stage of the work, a different phase of that work. That work is not concluded. The maximum that it could reach is not what is going there. What is going there is a great level of the work, but you don't need to be stopped there. That could evolve in the following meaning, that people should start feeling, because of the energy of the short path, the energy of the group, the energy of the ritual that is established there. People could start feeling in those 24 hours, for instance, that there is no difference between what they live externally and what they live innerly. This is an experience that no one has done before. No one has gone through the experience of being conscious of external reality and be conscious that they're living something interior at the same time. No one has shared anything like this until now. And this is an experience, it's a strength restricted to that work, because the short path is not just for you to do things in an orderly way. This needs to evolve, not to have any difference between, so that they can feel both rhythms at the same time. For this, you need the people who do the short path well done, to do it together with others, to raise that quality and level. That is already good, which has been said by those. But there is a path to be gone through. It's not just this that happens there. It's the external rhythm must be perceived. This rhythm should be collected, and every time we do that work, that unites more and more. It doesn't happen just once. It's not just a work for us to do, to change our state and point. That is a work that could have that is a school for our capacity of living. Irdin, that is a school, and every time we do that work, if we find a more and more perfect stage, if we find that external mechanism more and more, we will start to feel that union of our external rhythm and our inner rhythm will start to unite that. So this would be the new stage of the short path, which has not started yet. That will start to happen with people in a very simple way. But those who are participating, they'll have a certain alignment and connection done. So they will raise the vibratory level of the short path. Besides making order, discipline in the individual, it will produce this union of external order. This is why that should be organized. If we have a plate that is more or less clean, a carpet that is more or less in the right place, it's not the same thing. If you have a dirty glass, that's not the same thing. So we need to enter this first step, but to feel of this inner self with you in the ritual, and there, in the dorms, this is very helped. And even for the energy that is going through that house, through that floor, as you can see, there is no, so there is not a dirty air, there's a constant air continuation, and the sleep enters a group collective sleep. There's a sleep that we have when we sleep, and there's a group sleep. It's a different kind of sound. So we could be sleeping, we could be in a dream in group. That is all about to happen there. And for this, it's necessary for those who have done it properly to do it again by the service, to find this. Because if this is not, the short path is taking place, but it's a strong preparation for this. If something is and the harmony of the time and energy facilitates for these two things to rhythms to unite, and if there's someone who is carrying out and do on these conditions, this will be a very great stimulation for all of those who come for the first time. Will enter an aura as the beginning of this, despite living an experience of order, ritual as we're living. And at the same time that we live our inner experience. So you are invited to participate in this and develop this. When these things start to unite, while our rhythm, our discipline unite to our inner shadow, this is when we'll start to. So the short path, well done, But the short path improved and extended and well adjusted to our inner process. This is a path for us to start recognizing in the groups, for us to participate in some inner works.